Today in the Brick Lab, we're going to be taking a look at fixing up the Sanctum Sanctorum Showdown set. Now I know what you're thinking. That set's pretty much perfect. What on earth are you going to do to this poor set? Well, if you're talking about the Sanctum side, yeah, you're right. It's pretty much perfect. But if you're talking about the Peter Parker side, well, that one's going to need some work. Now, I'm not going to lie, mine already looks pretty good, and that's because I already went through and fixed all the garbage. So if you want to take a look and see what I did, let's get up close and personal. Alright, so first things first, I went ahead and covered up those exposed holes in the Technic beams with some 1x whatever tiles. When I say whatever, I used 1x6 right here, but there's a 1x8 further up. Anyway, that's a pretty easy fix. All you need to do, jam some Technic half pins into those holes there, put a tile on top, and you're good to go. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, didn't there used to be a trapdoor release lever right here? How's that going to fit in? Well, the answer is I moved that trapdoor somewhere else. We'll get to it in a minute. Another thing I did was I replaced the bricks with studs on the side with just plain bricks, because that honestly looks so much better without those studs there. Now, I mean, I know they're probably there so that kids can, like, role-play with Spider-Man on the side of the wall, because, you know, Spider-Man's Peter Parkour, lame. But, I mean, there's still the exposed studs on the side of the windows here, so that's not really a big deal. Anyway, another thing, the fire escape. Those are pretty ugly, so I really wouldn't blame you if you just tore them out and just filled those holes in with more half pins and flat tiles. It would probably look a lot better, honestly. If you're planning on buying multiples of these to build like some kind of city, it's definitely what I do. So moving up one floor, we can see just exactly where the trapdoor ended up. Spoiler alert, it's right here. Now, all I had to do for that was just swap around the two floor plates. Like there was a 6x16 plate here. I just moved that down one floor. Moved the 6x8 plate in the trapdoor up one floor. Ta-da! And to just disguise the exposed Technic holes a little bit, I put in a 1x2 gray plate, a little stadium tile here. It's like a 1x1 tile that's part square, part round. Did two of those just to kind of disguise the whole trapdoor opening thing, make it look like it was totally intentional. And a 1x8 tile, which now covers the window. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a second, didn't that window used to explode? Well, it still does, but with just a little bit more force. We'll get into that in a second. Actually, we'll get into it right now. So it used to be that webbing on the side here, and it was kind of, it stood out a little bit, like the red and white. Didn't look good. So I just replaced it with a gear here. Now what the gear does is it allows you to move the mechanism up and out of the way. We'd probably have to turn around in order for you to see that better. So what I did here was I just took the Technic beam, added in a brick with a stud on the side just to lock the plate into place, otherwise this thing would be flopping around, and that would be no good. Now the problem with that is that it's a tight fit. So when you explode the window out, it explodes out with a lot more force. And the good thing is that with the gear here, you can now twist the mechanism so that it's actually tucked up into the ceiling and it's out of the way. And before we take the tour inside, let's take a quick look at the roof. So let's talk about the elephant on the roof. No, not that elephant, the water tower. Now, I've never been a fan of the water tower, and that was even before I fixed it. In order to fix it, all I did was basically remove this thing and put the antennas closer to the tower. It's pretty wobbly, and it kind of has a tendency to fall off the stud here. You're probably wondering, if it's so wobbly now and falls apart, why on earth did he remove that plate? And the answer is that without it, the tower was just really didn't look good. Kind of looked like it was floating above the supports here. Now, it does serve an important play function, and that is when you knock Spider-Man off the roof, you can just wind him back up at the tower. I'll admit it's not a bad play feature, and it's kind of disguised fairly well. But it's just so flimsy. Like, let's say Spider-Man gets punched by a bad guy here. That's all going down. It's quite a mess. Anyway, let's move down to like the inside. So moving one floor down, we have Peter Parker's apartment here, and as you can see, I basically just moved his little computer room / lab / whatever it was from the floor below up to this floor. I also had to take the trapdoor and move it up to the roof here, and the reason for that was that it would give us more floor space. And the trapdoor works perfectly fine, even with that lamp there. It actually doesn't hurt the lamp at all because of this bracket underneath the trapdoor. If you have the set, you already know what Peter Parker's room looks like. So let's move down to the floor below, which is where all the new stuff is. So moving all Peter Parker's junk to the top floor gave us room for this little apartment for Alf, who's an adult Lego fan. He has no social life, but he is a 100% accurate creation of every single scene from the MCU, all built in Lego. Well, that's a little harsh. He has friends. You know what? He's friends with Peter. You know Peter. Oh wait, Peter's in the wrong universe. Forget that. Alf has no friends. Poor Alf. Anyway, Alf is a nice little apartment. He has a little kitchenette here, a croissant, some coffee, and of course his Lego collection, which is really all he needs to be happy. It is kind of ironic, though, that Alf is such a huge fan of the MCU, and that he's actually about to become part of one of its largest battles, or at least one of its largest battles is about to take place right outside his window. Is Alf excited? You bet he is. Actually, he actually has no idea what's about to happen. He's too busy building with his Legos. Let's hope that collection's insured, right, Alf? You know what? Let's just move over to the Sanctum side of things. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Sanctum side is pretty much perfect. There's honestly nothing I would change about it, well, except for the window. Because if you want to buy a whole bunch of these and turn it into like some kind of downtown area, not downtown, residential type area, where the front is like the front of an apartment building and the back is, and this is like where the Sanctum side is like the front of the apartment building, and this is like the back of the apartment building, well, then you might want to change the Sanctum window. The problem with the Sanctum window is that it's cool, but it's also a little bit too distinctive. If you want to, as an apartment building, well, I mean, you could just replace it with like a plain glass window, but there's another way. And that way is, of course, just to lift up the little platform here, remove the window, and then just tear off this section here. Boom. So that you're just left with this little... Actually, you know what? Let's remove the whole Sanctum window entirely. So we're left with just this part here. Then we're going to take these plates, the dark gray 1x8s and the light gray 1x6, and we're just going to attach them the way they were. The dark grays go here. Then we're just going to take an 8x8 plain black plate, put that on, and we're just going to attach the light bluish gray plate in here. Kind of help fill out the thing a little bit. And then just reattach it to the roof. And bingo! Now we have just a plain... Oh man, that did not look as good as I thought it would. It's really kind of blah. You know what we could do? Take these gray curved pieces and like kind of make some kind of neat design in the roof. Like maybe a little arch here. Yeah, a little curve. That doesn't look bad. And then you could do like a whole bunch of different ones for each apartment building. Or if they're part of the same apartment complex, just like add in one here. There we go. That looks kind of like some. No, actually, you know what? That looks worse. If I were you, I'd just stick with the window. Anyway, that about wraps up our look at the Sanctum Sanctorum Showdown Fixer-Upper. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and do all that other good stuff. And as always, build neat, because if you don't, the end of your videos are always going to look like this. What a mess. I knew I shouldn't have let that. Wait, where'd Alf go? Oh no, he's MIA. Poor Alf, he can never catch a break.